What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into the content. We got a long video today. It was a journey, and we got some good news and some not so good news. So we start out the video with this hand, and we raised to 24, and our opponent raised us back to 88, and we just decided to fold. I made a lot of mistakes today. I'm not so proud of some of my plays, but I am glad that I am doing this channel because I get to look back at all my hands and kind of take that time to, write the script for the video and then also review my gameplay and see how I played, see where I could have played better and where I could have done worse. That's one of the good things about doing this video in these channels. And so here we are with pocket eights. We're going to raise it up to 24. We got a lot of pocket pairs today, as you guys will see. And we were in some flips, and we'll see the results as the video plays out. But we raised to 24. Our opponent raised to 72. I regret just calling here. I feel like this is a spot where call is maybe okay, but in reality, we should probably just either jam or fold to utilize our equity. Our opponent bet on the flop, even though it was queen high, and we called. When they continue here on the turn, we decide, after thinking it over for a second, just to jam it in. Not the best play in retrospect, and looking back at it, it's just not a winning play in the long term. And even on the flop when he bet, we probably should just fold when it comes queen high. Unfortunate there. So we are down $500 already early in the session and early in the day. Kind of a frustrating play there for me. I made a bad pre-flop play, and then that continued on throughout the hand. Like I just said, we got a lot of pocket pairs today, and that continued on here when we get pocket fives. We raise it up to $24 in middle position, and this player jams it all in, and there's nothing much for us to do other than just call and hope to hold, and our opponent has ace-9 and hits a 9 on the turn. So pocket pairs not doing us so good. Down about 700-ish right now, and sticking with the pocket pairs, we get pocket deuces. Our opponent raises to 24, and like I said with the pocket eights, we don't really know what to do. With pocket deuces, it's a little easier to just call and try to go set mining. We don't hit our set, but our opponent does check on the flop, and when he bets small on the turn, we are just going to make the call here to see the river and hope for a deuce. Deuce does not come. We check it over, and our opponent's going to bet 80, and it's a pretty easy fold for us there. So pocket pair's not doing us too good so far. We pick up pocket nines here, hoping for some better news. We raise to 24. We get a caller, and then this player is going to fold in between, and this player is going to think it over, and he is going to jam again. We are going to call. This is the player that jammed with ace-9 earlier and hit the 9 on us when we had pocket fives. Hoping that we can get it in good here with pocket nines and get our stack going back up. We're against pocket eights and ace-queen, so we're ahead. But unfortunately, pocket eights hit quads. And to make news worse, even if he wasn't in the hand, the ace-queen hit a queen, so we would have lost either way. So we are down 1,000 already. Not a great start to the day, just trying to make $100. We have queen 10 here suited, and we are going to raise it up to 24. And we get an uncontested win. Nice win there for us. After rebuying again for 500, we get our stack over 500, which was good to see, just a win go through here. And then this was a little bit of a tilt call here. Our opponent raised big pre-flop, and we just decided to call. And when we hit a pair here, kind of like I said, we're down 1,000. I'm a little tilted. I make a bad play here and just get lucky. He bets 110 on the flop, and we just continue, which we shouldn't have done, but we smashed the turn with hitting trip sevens, and our opponent is going to put us all in, and we just make an easy call there. And he had 9-10, so he was kind of playing bad as well, raising big with a medium-sized hand, and we got lucky there. So bad play, but leads to some luck for us, and we're on the upswing. Instead of being down 1,000, we're down about 500 right now. And that's when we pick up king, queen of hearts here. Our opponent raises to 24, and we call, and we have a heart draw here for the flush, and he bets 53, and we call. Board pairs on the turn. We don't really like it, so we're just going to check it back over. He checks it there. When the 7 puts trips on the board, we decide to stab for a bet here just to see, hey, if he has a pair, then he'll probably, have to think about it a little bit. But he might have a 7 here. He raises us. We don't really know. He could have had a jack, but not much we can do there except for fold. So that was okay. We didn't lose too much there. In the big blind here with ace-8, we're in position, and that is why we decided to make this call for 32. Flop comes king-6. Not a flop we really like to see here with this hand. And we are in position, though, so when our opponent checks to us, we check it back. And then he is going to think it over for a second and bet 62. Nothing much for us to do other than just lay it down. The queen didn't help us on the turn. Our hand doesn't improve, so we just have to lay it down and play another hand. So here we are with king-8 in the small blind. Probably not a hand that we are going to play a lot of the time. And we are just waiting for it to get on us. When our opponent raises to 24, it just makes it even easier of a fold for us, especially when that opponent raises to 84. I'm not really sure that I meant to put this in the video, but, just showing you guys a hand of, what goes on for most of the time, just sitting at the table, waiting for a hand, and that's what we're doing. So here we are on the button. We got ace-5 offsuit. Our opponent raises to 24, and since we are on the button in position on him, we are going to decide to call. The action is on the small blind, big blind, and the straddle here, and they are thinking it over, and they're going to fold and get a call. So we are going 3 ways to a flop of king-3-9. The straddle is going to check, so is the pre-flop aggressor, so we're going to check behind when we don't hit much. We don't hit anything, actually. And then he checks again, and we don't have anything to do but check. And they are both going to check it to he's going to bet 71. Player in between is going to fold. When we hit the ace on the river, maybe this guy's just trying to snag the pot is what we are thinking in the moment, so we make a call. And unfortunately, he had the straight on the turn and improved his straight to the nuts on the river when we hit our ace. So that was an unfortunate card for us, and we just pay him off there. Here we are in middle position with jack-8 of hearts. We decide to raise it up to 24. Hoping to maybe steal the blinds or maybe play in position on these players. And we get through the 2 players behind us, which is good. And it looks like the straddle player is going to give us a call and give us some action. So when he checks it to us, we're just going to c-bet here. We have a gut shot to a 6, and we have backdoor hearts. Turn doesn't help us improve, but I like to continue checking because we didn't improve there. And then when the river comes a deuce, doesn't improve our hand either. The only way we can win this pot is by betting it. But when he lead bets for 80, we have an option to either raise or to fold and give up. And so we are going to think it over here, and we are going to try to raise to try to steal it. He didn't bet any of the streets. If he doesn't have an ace here, it's going to be hard for him to call because an ace makes a straight. So that's the position we're trying to put him in. He does buy some time bank cards, which we don't like to see because that means he probably has a big decision to make. There's also a flush on the board, so there's many possibilities of hands that we are bluffing with. And unfortunately for us, he did have the straight, and he makes a call, and we lose that one. Then here we are in the under the gun +3 with ace-king offsuit, and we are going to raise it up to 24 again. We have 2 callers pre-flop, and these players are going to think it over. And while we are waiting for them to think it over, this is a good hand to raise. And honestly, when we get called, we're not too worried. We have probably the best. We do have the best non-paired hand. And when the flop comes 4-6-3, we don't expect many players to hit a pair on that. So unless they had a pair or pre-flop, we're probably still good. So we can feel confident in betting. When I bet 93 and this player calls me, I don't really love it, but we only have 274 left, and there's not much else for us to do other than just jam and hope he doesn't have a pair. Unfortunately, he does have pocket nines, and we are going to lose another 500. So now we are down 1,500, and we don't really have money to continue. We also have to get ready for work. So we are going to cash out that session to start the day, down 1,500. Not really what we were looking for when we were just trying to win $100. Made some very bad plays in there, and I can completely blame myself, but I'm glad that I'm reflecting on it, and we're still going to post the content no matter win or lose. So that is what we are doing here. And it's good to just grow as a poker player, and nobody's perfect. I'm definitely not. I struggle sometimes with overplaying ace-king like you saw there, or I have a tough time sometimes playing with ace-king and pocket pairs and post-flop and pre-flop. Sometimes I make some questionable calls, so I'm trying to tighten up my game and really review my stuff, and that's one of the main reasons I made this channel, is because I want to be a more profitable poker player, thinking of it more as a second job-ish rather than just a leisure activity. A couple hands went by in the background while I was talking, which is okay. We got a lot of content today, so not breaking down every hand is okay. But here we are with Queen Jack, and our opponent raised pre-flop. The board is paired with tens and a king on the flop. We have an open-ender, and when we hit our pair of jacks on the turn, it improves our hand, but it's really not a card that we like to see. Now it's really like he could have ace-jack, ace-king, ace-queen. A lot of hands beat us, any hand with a 10. So when he jams, there's really not much we can do other than just fold. We only bought in this session here that you are watching for our second session of the day for 246. That's all I had left in the account. Hoping to salvage buy. When we started this series, I only started with 500. I have more in my bankroll. I just hadn't deposited it into the WPT Gold. So I was hoping that I didn't have to do that, and we are going to continue playing and hopefully avoid doing that. So here we are in middle position with ace-3 offsuit. When our opponent raises to 34, there's a lot of dead money. The pot's 64. We only have 110. So this is really a jam or a fold spot. And I decided to go for the jam, hoping that we can just scoop up the dead money, or maybe just play it out if we have good equity against our opponent. But obviously, we don't really want to be going to showdown with this kind of hand. Luckily for us, we hit a 3 when our opponent calls us with ace-king. So we were pretty much just praying when we saw that he had ace-king, and we hit a 3 on the flop, which was beautiful. And then here we are with pocket deuces again, like I was talking about. Still really trying to figure out how to navigate with pocket pairs. I overplay them a lot, and I make some pretty bad calls. I'm not sure if this is one of them. I think it is probably not the best call when opponent raises to 10 and then another player 3-bets to 40. We call, another player calls, and then this player is going to think it over for a second, and he is going to end up jamming. The player who raised to 40 is going to call that jam pretty quickly, and I think, honestly, what I was thinking is I'm down so much already, might as well just call and hope for a triple up, or even if the player calls behind us, a quadruple up if we can just hit a deuce. So that's what I do. I'm not really feeling too confident right now other than just hoping that a deuce comes, especially when the player behind us calls as well, and we are going to end up going 4 ways to a flop with our deuces. My computer lags a little bit here, so the flop comes out kind of weird. But again, this is not really something you want to be doing often if you want to be a profitable player. But sometimes you have to get lucky in order to be profitable, and that's what we were hoping for here. So like I said, my computer kind of lagged. We were really behind against Jackson 8s. I don't know what that dude was doing with 8-5. So we lost 246 there. But we rebought again, and we were just hoping that we could make some money back. So we added 1,000 to the account, and we're down 1746 right now. I didn't really expect to make it all back. I was kind of hoping to just alleviate the damage for the day, and we had a little bit of time to play. This video is going to come out a little later than it usually does because I had a lot going on and I needed to edit, and as you can see, this video is kind of long already. So we come back, we have 9-6 of hearts, and we flop a flush draw, and then boom, we hit the flush draw on the turn. It's not the greatest. Obviously, hitting a flush is good when the board is paired and we only have a 9-high flush draw, a 9-high flush. It's not exactly the nuts, but it's one of the better hands that we've had all day. So we are going to play it like it is the nuts. We are going to bet when our opponent checks it to us there, and then he checks it to us again. In the pot's 320, we got 234, so we are just going to jam it in and hope for a call with a worse hand. He's going to think it over for a little while. This is a good sign. I'm thinking maybe he has an 8, maybe he has a pocket pair or something, maybe even a 2 pair. Just hoping he doesn't have a better flush than us. It would be really unlikely with the way that the hand's played out that he has a full house. So when he calls and we see kings, it's unfortunate for him, but it's beautiful for us. We started this session with $400, and we are already up to $786 just after one hand of some action. Obviously, I folded a decent amount of hands before that to get that hand in there, but obviously every pot we play, we want to try to win it the best we can without losing too much money as we go. When this player raises to 14, we're in the small blind, and we don't really want to play this hand out that much, so we decide to raise it to 42. He decides to call. When we hit a jack on the flop, we just got to c-bet and continue, and he folds. I was a little nervous of the king, but obviously he didn't have one there as he folded pretty easily, so that was a nice hand for us there. And then we pick up aces here. We are in good position. We raise small just to 12. We don't want to scare too many people away. Obviously with aces, it's a good hand, but you can get beat. So we want to try to isolate here, but we also want to get some money because aces is the best starting hand in the game. So we don't want to bet too much and get everybody to fold. A couple players thinking here, 12 isn't really a big bet. So I don't know. This table was kind of tight when I was playing at it. For the most part, pre-flop, they played pretty good for the most part. Post-flop, but pre-flop, a lot of players were just thinking it over, maybe trying to steal some pots. Like this guy might have been trying to steal this here when he bet to 60. Looking back at this is just a terrible play by me. He bets to 60, and I just go all in for 115. Again, not really sure what I'm doing here. Maybe got a little excited, said, hey, we got aces. He raised to 60 off of our initial bet of 12. Let's just jam it on him. Could have got more value there maybe, but again, we'll take a small win rather than him flopping something and then us losing our stack and it being frustrating. So we are continuing on the upswing, and we have 9-5 of hearts here. We decide to raise to 12 in middle position. Our suited nines have done good for us today. We hit the flush earlier, and we hit some pairs earlier that scooped us some small pots. We get one player that calls here. When the flop comes king, king, 9, we just decide to check it over to the player just to see what they do. We were the pre-flop aggressor, but we want to see what they are going to do, maybe see if they have a king or not. I think we're pretty strong right now. It's unlikely they have an overpair. When the 10 comes on the turn, we don't exactly love it, but we got to find out where we're at. So we decide to bet 24 with the intention that if they raise, most likely we are going to let it down, no matter, or depending on what the sizing is. They are going to call, and when the river comes a king, we can pretty much think that we have a good hand, so we're going to try to bet for thin value. Pot was about 140, so we bet about half pot. Maybe could have gone a little bit smaller, but this opponent is going to think it over, and he's going to let it go after a second. So he probably didn't have a pair. Maybe he did have a pair of 10s, and we got him to fold the better hand. That'd be beautiful, but again, we don't know what his cards were, so we could have gone a little smaller maybe to get value from somebody calling with a worse hand, but we'll always take down a pot no matter what. We raised to 12 here in the big blind with ace-3 offsuit, and we're out of position, which can be tricky. So we just decide to c-bet and maybe get our opponent to fold here. I don't really like playing out of position a lot because it leaves you vulnerable. We hit a pair on the turn, so we're just going to continue to bet. Obviously, it's the bottom pair, but when we c-bet on the flop and then we continue to bet on the turn, it can look strong and it can maybe get our opponent to fold. He calls here, however, and at this point, we're just going to give up and we just check it over to him. And pretty much set any bet that he's going to do, we'd fold, but he thinks it over for a second, and he actually has the best hand. I don't know what he was calling with the whole way, but he hits his queen on the river, and we just get unlucky there. Then we are here in the small blind with red queens, and we are waiting for the action to come to us. Again, in the small blind, we don't really want to play a hand with this. Even though we have queens, playing out of position is just not something you want to do. That's something that I didn't learn for a very long time. When I was learning to play poker, position's pretty important with how the game functions after the flop happens. So when this player raises to 8 and he gets a call, we're going to decide to bump it up. We go with a little bit of a bigger sizing of 54 here, hoping to just either take a pot down or pretty much any hand that somebody's going to call me with 54 pre-flop with is going to be worse than queens. I think aces or kings would just raise my 54 rather than just calling. This player is going to think it over, and he is going to make the call, so we are out of position. But when it comes 9-8-3, we have an overpair. We are going to bet at it here, and we choose 65. A little bit of a smaller sizing there. We want to just kind of extract some value if we can from maybe an ace-king or an ace-jack kind of hand. And our opponent is just going to jam it on us, kind of a weird play here. So we don't have much to do than just call. And he has ace-8, which was an interesting play from him. But we have the overpair of queens, so we snap him off, and we take down a nice pot there to build our stack up. So we're about up 900 on this session here. We started with 400, and we are doing very well right now, which is good to see because we kind of needed this after this morning session of us getting absolutely killed. Not really by the cards and getting unlucky, maybe a few hands, but really just bad play by me. And I'm owning that, and I'm trying to learn from that. And during this session, I was just thinking about the morning session and how I needed to tighten it up and really just play better. So speaking of playing better, we got the dirty diapers suited. So we are playing that for some reason, and we hit a pair here. Our opponent doesn't have a pair, and so we are going to take it down, and that is going to be it for this session. So we profited 922. If you guys don't know me personally, I do coach. So I have some time in between coaching, and work or work and then coaching, that I have just downtime to kind of do whatever. And since I lost this morning, I just played that previous session, and then I had to go do something, and then I had a little bit more time to come and play again. So this is going to be a quick little session, but we figured we could try to maybe string together some hands and just get a quick profit and be out. We won a hand with nines there as I was talking, didn't break that one down, but here we are with queen 10. We bet pre-flop, and we are in position. This opponent is going to bet 10 on the flop. Looking back, probably should just fold. I don't really know what I'm doing here. And then on the turn, we have a gut shot to a jack. He's going to bet 29, and we're going to think it over for a second and decide ultimately to make the call. Not really sure if that's the best play in the long term, or the best play here, but we do make that, and our opponent's going to bet the river, and there's nothing for us to do other than just fold because we don't really have any bluff equity. It's not a good hand to bluff on. Then we're in the small blind here. We have king 10 offsuit, and we don't want to see a flop with this hand in this position. It's not the greatest hand. And we have the worst position in the game. When our opponent raises to 12, Again, like I said, we don't really want to see a flop, but it's a cheap price. I don't want to raise him and then have him raise back, or raise and then have him call and then us flop nothing like we did here and then kind of just get screwed. We decided to lead bet just to switch it up on our opponent, and he snap calls pretty quickly. When the 9 comes on the turn, we're just going to guess that he doesn't have a 9, and then the board pairs on the river with an 8. So now there's 2 pair on the board. We try to put him in a tough spot by betting 76 here. Kind of just bluffing at it, really not the best play here. I don't really remember what my thinking was, and our opponent sniffs that out pretty quickly, and he goes all in, and there's nothing for us to do other than just fold. Pretty bad play there by me. We didn't have a lot of outs or any kind of equity on any draws or anything, so I'm not really sure what I was thinking there. And just looking back, that's pretty much just a punt, which is not what we need with the day and how it's going so far. But then we pick up aces again here, and 2 players raised, one player raised and 1 player called. So there's 32 in the pot there, and we're going to bump it up to 64 with aces here. Again, we'd like to take it down. If not, if they call, we are in position this time, so we wouldn't mind seeing a flop. But obviously, we love it when he just jams all in and we call, and he has pocket 8s, and we take our odds all day, pocket 8s versus pocket aces. And he does not hit his 8, so we take that down and we get our stack back up to almost where we were. This is when I'm thinking, like, oh man, like if I just didn't make stupid plays all the time and just punt away my chips, then right now I could be up a little bit more, chipping away towards that goal. But unfortunately, I'm the person I am. I'm still learning. I'm still grinding. And I do make mistakes. I don't like the mistakes of punting. I'd rather a mistake of me making a misplay on a hand here and there, but I'm working on it. So, here we are. The flop comes Jack 4-9. We have Jack 10 here, so pretty good flop for us. We check it over to the pre-flop aggressor, and he is going to check it. When this player checks to us again, we want to get some chips in the pot with top pair, so we decide to bet 29. This is probably about 1/3 size of the pot, and both players are going to fold, and we are going to snag a little pot here to get us back over our buy-in initially, which was 400. A few hands later, we have pocket jacks. Our opponent raises to 14. We're out of position. We raise it up to 56. We're really happy with whatever they do either way, and they lay it down, so we'll take that pot. I don't really like jacks too much. I feel like I always lose with them. I feel like a lot of people always lose with them, and that's kind of a cliche thing, but, I don't know. It's just a middle hand, middle pocket pair. I'd rather have 10s or 9s, honestly, than jacks. I don't really know why. I just feel like jacks aren't my lucky hand, and I never hit a set with them, and it always comes ace or king high on the flop, and I always end up making a stupid play and losing. So we'll take the money there when everybody folds pre-flop, and we will live to play another hand like this one when we have 5-4 of hearts on the button. Little raise pre-flop to 10 from our opponent, and he is going to check it on the flop, and we have a straight draw and a flush draw, so we got to get some chips in there, and we just go for a small sizing of 15 just to try to build the pot, and our opponent clearly doesn't have anything, and he lays his hand down. Then we are in late position, and we have queen jack offsuit. We're going to raise it up to 12 here with our position, even with a middling hand like this. Not a hand you want to raise with all the time, but when we are in this kind of position, we wouldn't mind playing it. This opponent is going to think it over, and he makes a call. When the flop comes king high, we do hit a pair of jacks, but we don't really like that king too much. Our opponent is going to think for a second, and then the action is going to be on us after he checks. We are going to stab at it for a small sizing to see where we are at with 17. And again, our opponent is going to think it over for a good amount of time, and then he is going to lay it down. So we take it down. I'm pretty happy with that. I flopped second pair. I don't always do the best with those kind of hands. And, when they've hit top pair, I kind of get in a tricky spot. So we went 83-45 there. Again, chipping away at that goal. So now we're down about 700-ish from our original 1,500. So in hindsight, down 700 is terrible. But when we look at it, we were down 1,500 earlier. So we're on the climb back and hoping to, minimize the damage. Again, I don't expect to make it all back today because it's just 1,500's a lot. But getting hands like Jack 5 and making a kind of loose call and hitting 2-pair is good for us. Pot's 156. We are going to stab at it for 120. Maybe could have gone smaller for some value from an ace or a king, but I don't think that player had it because I think probably he would have called or bet the turn if he did have an ace or a king. He probably didn't have much there, and we were just winning the whole time. But we could have gone for a smaller sizing, maybe extract some more value, but we don't want to open it up for them to re-raise because we didn't have the nuts. We did have a good, strong hand, but, they could have had some other things that definitely beat us. We're in middle position here with King 7 of diamonds, and we are thinking, hey, let's raise it up, maybe get to a flop. And this opponent's thinking, no, we're going to raise it up to 80. We're not going to call that. Again, trying to play a little tighter. Maybe if I was in a different mood or something, I might have called that, which is not a good play. And I'm starting to realize that I make some bad plays sometimes just because I just feel like gambling, and I need to stop that from happening. So this opponent raises to 24. When we have ace 10 and we are out of position, we decide to raise it up to 72. Pretty much just hoping for him to fold. If we do see a flop, that'd be okay, because we do have a decent hand as ace 10, but we don't want to play this kind of hand out of position, not knowing what kind of ace he has. When the flop comes 7, 8, 9, it's a really good flop for this kind of hand. With an ace and a 10, we have an open-ended straight draw, and we bet on the flop, and our opponent calls, and we drill the straight on the turn. I bet 170 after hitting the straight. It's not the nut straight. Obviously, he could have Jack 10, and he's thinking it over. And I'm really feeling strong about this. I don't think he would have called 72 pre-flop with Jack 10, so when he jams, we just snap call him. And we are happy to see that he has ace-jack for just a complete bluff. He didn't even have a pair. So that is a massive double up for us. That gets us to almost about even on the day, which is just so huge because this morning I was just feeling like, hey, I lost pretty much all the profit from the first couple days, and I'm going to have to dig into what I bought in with, and we were up, and, it's just a big downswing, and it's tough when you win 4 days and then you lose one day and you lose all your profit that day. So I think I need to work a little bit on tilting and just working on when I lose, maybe taking a break before I rebuy again that day just to limit my losses. So that's something I'm going to try moving forward, because when I took a break after I lost all that money, as you can see here, I did pretty decent in these last 3 sessions here, winning in all of them, playing a little bit tighter, thinking about how I really needed to make that money. And I think I just need to have that mindset all of the time. Here we are with queens. We bet to 32, and our opponent raises us to 96, which we don't really love to see. But we are going to have to raise it up. We don't decide to jam. We decide to raise to 536, being like, hey, we have a good hand. Maybe a hand like ace king or something would jam there, and we don't want him to call with a hand that could draw out on us, maybe like an ace 10 or ace jack or something. So we just decide to bet for 536, which is 5 times-ish his bet, making it look like we're betting for value, and that's exactly what we were doing, and he lays it down. That was going to be the last hand that we played of the night. So after being down $1,500, we won $842 in this session, and here is it for the day. We made $101.45, and I just can't believe we made a huge comeback like that. But come back tomorrow for day 6, and we will see what we can do. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe.